everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Uh, all over social media, especially the sites run by China, which is a lot of them, China has way more than just TikTok. Like, China has tons of social media sites that they run, China. They have been targeting through social media. You should see the comments. You should see the anti Trish Reagan comments from Communist China. They don't like her. They're trying to discredit her. They're trying to get Trish Reagan canceled, whatever. Maybe even worse. So every time there's a major critic of Communist China sends their goons to try to get rid of the China critics, right? So you probably know several years ago, Trish Reagan, she talked a whole bunch of shit about China. You can see there's just one of many uh, news broadcasts that Trish Reagan did where she talked shit about China. And she was telling the truth about China. And of course, China doesn't like it when people talk shit about them. And China sends all of their goons, all of their trolls, to attack people, take down their live streams. Even my channel was, bombarded with a bunch of trolls, and they came in. And so, anyways, long story short, now there's been so many more comments. If you just go on all the social media sites, and I pretty much I monitor. I don't monitor every single one because I'd be here forever, but I monitor a lot of them, and I've basically been monitoring a lot of the social media sites, especially the ones run by Communist China, like TikTok. And I've seen so many anti Trish Reagan videos. Clearly, Communist China. They don't like Trish Reagan because she talks too much shit about Communist China. And Communist China, they make people disappear. Like, they make people disappear. In fact, Communist China, you know how so Canada, right? Canada is against the death penalty. Canada abolished the death penalty because so many innocent people were wrongfully convicted and given the death penalty. So Canada is against the death penalty, and recently Communist China decided to execute 4 Canadians, which they might have been guilty for real. I mean, those Canadians might have been guilty, but still, first off, um, knowing Communist China, they probably weren't given fair trials. Communist China probably exaggerated what they did. Did they deserve to die? No. And no Canadian, no real Canadian patriot who's against the death penalty would ever advocate for the death penalty in any circumstance because, the death penalty has been applied to so many innocent people. Okay? If it was a perfect justice system where everyone was always given a fair trial, then maybe, but it's not. It's not a perfect justice system. People are not given fair trials, and many innocent people are wrongfully convicted and wrongfully given the death penalty. So that's why Canada and Canadians are against the death penalty. And so were those 4 Canadians in China guilty? Maybe. They very well might have been guilty, but did they deserve the death penalty? No. And knowing China, China probably didn't give them a fair trial, and they probably exaggerated what those 4 Canadians did. And Chinese people are all over Canada, and they do much worse, and they don't get the death penalty. There were Chinese drug dealers in Canada, and they weren't given the death penalty. Canada didn't give the death penalty to the Chinese drug dealers. So China's giving the death penalty, allegedly saying, "Oh, there's Canadians were drug dealers," and I'm anti-drug. I don't even condone that. I'm anti-drug. I'm not a drug addict. I don't condone that kind of stuff at all. But what I'm saying is that did they deserve to get the death penalty? No. Canada abolished the death penalty for a reason. Because so many Americans had been given the death penalty that were innocent, that were later found out to be innocent. The death penalty is murder. The death penalty is government-sanctioned murder, especially when it's applied to innocent people who were wrongfully convicted and were never given fair trials. So Canada's extremely against the death penalty. And China, very recently, just I think it was a few months ago, maybe last year, executed 4 Canadians and gave them the death penalty. So, like I said, I don't agree with what the Canadians were accused of doing. If they were guilty, if the Canadians were guilty, I don't agree with what they did. But does that mean that that they deserve the death penalty? No. Especially knowing communist China, they don't give people fair trials, even not trials at all. And they probably exaggerated what those 4 Canadians did. So Trish Reagan, she's a beautiful American. She's being targeted right now by communist China, like they always do. Communist China has a history and a reputation of going after people who criticize communist China. In fact, you should have seen all of those Chinese comments on that social media site. So okay, I don't speak fluent Chinese, but I studied Mandarin and Cantonese for several years. I speak a little bit of Mandarin and Cantonese. So I was on a social media site that's very Chinese, very, they were mostly speaking Mandarin actually, but, and I was on the site and I was using a translator because even though I do speak a little bit of Mandarin and Cantonese, I still have to use a translator because I'm not fluent in Chinese, of course not. And there were so many Chinese comments. They don't like Trish Reagan. They hate her guts because she's one of the biggest China critics, as you can see. Trish Reagan's one of the biggest China critics, and so they've been going after Trish Reagan. And we have to be careful. The China, they got deep pockets. China, they got a lot of influence around the world. The China's trying to silence all of the critics against China. So it's a scary world to live in. With China is when China rules the world. It's a scary world that when China rules the world. So I just want to make this quick video to warn everyone. I was on those social media sites and I saw for myself that the Chinese people, they hate Trish Reagan's guts. They've been saying nasty things about her because she's one of the biggest China critics in America, and Trish Reagan obviously has a big platform. So anyways, that's it. This is not fair. This is not fair that political opinions are being silenced. Communist China is trying to take away everyone's freedom of speech. It's not fair. And I just want to say something about that. All right.